Good morning. Come on. How's everybody doing? That was an amazing keynote. Based on the applied intelligence that I gathered, I'm going to switch around and make some adjustments to my presentation. How many of you are from, first of all, I'm happy to be here. Sydney, second best city that I like. I'm from Melbourne, the most livable city. Happy to be here. Today is a day of learning. I'm here to share what Telstra is doing to become that company that moves fast. Annie's not here. We have hope. We're doing that. Most importantly, how do you do this in a large enterprise? It's easy to do this when you're a startup or a mid-sized company that started about 10 years ago. But the context is very different when you're in a large enterprise. So it's important to think about that. I'm going to seek Lou's help here in a moment. And I'm going to switch quickly and then come back later. Just give me a moment. So this is a half pizza team. Not a two-pizza team, but a half-pizza team. The context on this is, at Telstra, we're a traditional waterfall, some agile, and we're trying to become nimble. This is my team that recently won an award for really moving fast. We changed how we do things at Telstra. This team has a product owner, 2 designers, working very closely with 2 anchor engineers, and we delivered. And what we delivered was amazing, right? And Lou talked about going into production without insights. Lou, you have a moment? Can you please come over here? I'm going to share my phone with you and have you read this. And none of this is rehearsed. I just pulled this up. This is an email I wrote to my...
This is a purchase order from Telstra to increase your subscription. All right. I would like to showcase the business metrics that Peter was interested in using New Relic. Can you please work with Greg and team from New Relic on this? I would like to see them come live using New Relic Insights. I would like to present them during my speech on the 24th. That's amazing.
So this was on a... Thank you for that. Thank you. So that's Peter, my boss. He was talking to the team while giving the award and asking all kinds of questions. Tell me about this. What did you guys do? We were focused on changing how we changed the way we work. But we didn't have any intelligence about what was really going on with this application. And my light bulb went off at that point and said, wow, we just signed a deal with New Relic, and what are we really doing with it? So I wrote this email to Greg. This was on a Saturday, I think Saturday or Sunday, early morning. I was in India. And the next thing you know, oops. This dashboard was up and running on Monday. And the developer sent a note saying, it took us 10 minutes to get this view. 10 minutes to gain insights. In the old world, 10 years ago, I would have had to write a business requirements document that went through a waterfall process, and you sort of put that together, and then finally somebody approves it, and you get it blessed, and you spend $1 million, and you get it out the door. So I thought it's important to share how big companies are doing this and how New Relic is helping us in this journey. So now I got to get back to my original context and start from the beginning. All right. Just a bit of background about myself. I worked in all these small companies, startups, large companies, and here I'm at Telstra. I want to call out a few companies that where I spent my time. One of them is Rackspace. You guys have probably worked at Rackspace. the culture at Rackspace was amazing. And here I am to talk about creating high-performance teams and how culture plays an important role in that. At Jio, we set up a Digital India to acquire 100 million customers in less than 100 days. But what went through in the background, in the process, we provisioned over 200,000 servers in the old traditional way. So, you know, we ultimately met the goal, but not the way you actually like to do. And here I'm at Telstra running software engineering, and the motivation is to create 200 of those high-performance teams before December 2018. We got about 40 teams. We started this journey about a year ago, and we're shaping the way the industry is moving. So what's our vision? Our vision is to become a world-class technology company that empowers people to connect. And what this really means is, imagine through this technology, we're able to help a child in a classroom in Bangladesh. Or there's a bushfire somewhere in Australia, and we're able to dispatch the fire crew on time. There's a higher purpose to all of this, right? And my job, as someone who's running software engineering, Lou talked about the obligation, is to make it seamless for our customers to get our services. Connecting the strategy of becoming a world-class technology company to how we enable that through software, through these high-performance teams. Now, we're all used to these experiences. You see an image of Twitter. What would our president in the United States do without Twitter? There's constant stream of information that's flowing to us, right? And when you order that little car, and you're able to see that car move, and you know that it's coming, and you're out partying with your friends, that's an amazing digital experience. Our customers at Telstra are looking for that same experience. And in order to deliver that experience, all the technology that we talked about is important. But the people aspect of it, don't underestimate the people aspect of it. You got to have the right people with the right mindset, the right culture to be able to deliver that experience. So when you think about Telstra, can you think of an application that you have recently used to deliver that you can think of from a Telstra perspective? Show of hands. Yeah? AFL. There you go. So we delivered an amazing experience to our customers. 87,000 unique views. Almost 5.5 million streaming hours. We had 40 cells worth of capacity at the MCG during the game, right? And if I go back at the start of the season, the experience that we were providing, we had an opportunity to improve some of the experience that we were providing. There were some issues with how we were delivering that service. And there were many different teams that had to come together to provide that amazing customer experience. We had dashboards, but the dashboards were all siloed. Every team that was involved in delivering this experience had different views of what was going on. And in order for us to collate and bring that together, we really couldn't provide that insight. But today we are able to tell, who's watching it, where are they watching it from, is the stream buffering, and all of this is only possible with technology like New Relic and other instrumentation that is required to deliver this experience. So our customers demand this from us, and we are delivering that amazing experience to our customers. And this is about 200% greater than the last year. And we're going to take the opportunity to improve this experience between now and the next season and continue to work on that. So when you talk about moving at speed and moving at and using all these tools, and when you have an organization it starts with business requirements, and you have development in the middle, and then goes through QA, and then finally into operations. If you're a 100-year-old company, you're probably in that mode, right? So how do you actually make the shift? You start small, and that's what we've done. And it's really hard in large enterprises. And if you look at Conway's law, organizations which design systems are constrained to produce designs which are copies of the communication structures of these organizations. That's so true. If you look at the websites we design, and if there are many different teams involved, they try to internalize that and look at what does it mean from their perspective. And what you don't think about the end user at the end of the day. And we got to change that, and that's what we're trying to do at Telstra. So how do you overcome these challenges? Attack the monoliths. Go after them. Create these service-based teams, 2 pizza teams responsible for a service using DevOps culture. Eliminate waterfall processes. It's easier said than done because the reality is you have a lot of legacy in place. So you got to work on figuring out, how do you simplify the architecture? What do you have to do from that perspective? Break the silos. And this is the hardest part in a large organization because you have a job to do, and you got to think about what happens when you move to this modern world. What's in it for me? Why do I have to learn this? This is hard. And we have to help them through that journey, right? So these are some of the challenges that we face into, and we're working on building that high-performance culture. So oftentimes we talk about transformations. This is not a transformation. It's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. You just have to, you know what the true north is. You know exactly where you're going. And you may have to start the journey small before, walk before you run. And then as you do this, gain speed. When you have the instrumentation in place, you can move with confidence. And it's about doing it by showing, and gaining the confidence of the teams that are involved. So there are some specific things that we are doing at Telstra. There are 6 pillars to drive the strategy of high-performance teams. We're changing the way we do things, Agile and DevOps. A lot of incubation programs are being put up in place. We started with the maturity model that talks about, from a software development perspective, how are we building, writing code? How are we testing? And how are we deploying? How are we monitoring, alerting? And across these dimensions, we go from a level 1 to a level 5. Level 1 sort of being very inconsistent in the way we do things, to a level 5 being treating infrastructure as code with complete immutability and leveraging software as a service stack and having that instrumentation in place. Then we have enabled, through a team of people, we have experts, we are providing the help and guidance to existing teams on how to go about looking at their maturity levels and helping them uplift their skills. So they're not left on their own devices. We are helping these teams change the culture. We have invested in platforms such as Pivotal Cloud Foundry. We leverage, as you know, New Relic, and Topcoder as a platform. When we need additional skills and we need to move fast, we rely on Topcoder, which is a crowdsourcing platform where you can get additional help. And we're also helping the teams. We got 50, 60 AWS certified engineers. We also have about 10 PCF certified developers. We're enabling these teams uplift their skills, learning the new ways of working, doing things, and simplifying our architecture on how we go about doing this. How we bring this to life at scale. Obviously, Annie talked about Telstra's outsourcing strategy, but our strategy is to bring that IP back in-house. So we are creating teams at scale that are practicing the new ways of working. So we are standing up these teams, and our goal is to get to those 200 teams. Now, when you go into conversations, when you're going through this transformation journey, these are real conversations that you're going to run into. When I talk to the business, they mean well, they have the right intent. And we often talk about MVP, right? But we can't do an MVP. We need it all. That's one of the toughest conversations that we have. So how, you got to think about how can you get that person across the line. Developer. We talk about DevOps all the time, right? And we think dev and rotate more towards ops more than dev. But what we found through these incubations is, as a developer, now your role is changing. And guess what? Are you ready to take the call at 3 a.m. in the morning? Because the accountability is yours. You got to change that mindset, right? So we are helping teams think about, you write better software, you instrument it, you have the intelligence, you don't have to wake up at 3. Operations, what's in it for me in DevOps? I'm a scripter, what do I have to do differently? And how do I have to change my skills? So we're helping them think through that as well. Finance, you want $1 million, tell me what am I going to get in return? How does that work in an agile world where you have to prove the ROI? So we are helping the business think through this. And procurement, tell me if it is OpEx or CapEx. The bottom line matters. But as a company, Telstra has made a decision to move forward in investing in growth. That's a big step for us, right? It's easy for startups to think along these lines and do this, but if you've been around for a long time, these are the types of challenges that we have to face into. And our partners, who we rely on heavily, yeah, we are ready, but we are not quite ready yet. So we got to bring them along the journey as well. So be ready to, face into these types of challenges. So we have a new mindset, and here are some of the results. And these are actual quotes from our stakeholders. And I'll just read a few, and which is very exciting. We are moving away from prioritizing predictability and choosing instead to prioritizing flexibility and speed. So speed matters. Right? The really pleasing thing about our journey is the high level of engagement and belief right across our teams. They all believe in our strategy and our vision. Right? So you got to get them across the line. You and your team should feel very proud of the agility that has been created here. It was not too long ago we would fantasize about outcomes like this. And now looking forward to this becoming the new normal speed, how we do things. Final thoughts, it's hard, guys, but it can be done. You got to start small. You got to walk, you got to run, and then you run your marathon. Prove it works. Just by doing those little experiments. You send an email on Saturday, and Monday morning you got a dashboard up and running. Prove it works. The business is happy. And win the confidence of the stakeholders and accelerate this journey. So the past year has been about showing how it's done. The next year for us is about, we're going to go fast. We're going to get the instrumentation in every application that's out there so we have those insights. And we're going to accelerate this journey and become that nimble company. And we'll have 200 teams eating 2 pizzas every day. Thank you.